Hi Foxes, welcome back to my channel, and today I have a video for you with my 10 best sales from 2020 on the Poshmark app. So if you are a Poshmark seller or you're interested in seeing what is selling for a higher dollar price, then stick around. So again, my name is Brittany. I am SHOPFOXBURROW on Poshmark and then Instagram and eBay. I definitely recommend that you go ahead and follow me over on Instagram. If you're interested in seeing the types of items that a vintage seller picks up, then do go ahead and check me out over on Instagram. Again, it is SHOPFOXBURROW, and I also have the link to that in my description box below. If you would like to see my Poshmark closet, I also have that link in my description box. I have that link in every video, so you're welcome to go and check it out. And to anyone who's gone and looked at my Poshmark closet in the past, thank you. So what I did for this was I pulled all of my Poshmark sales that had actually processed payment from January 1st of 2020 up until the day that I pulled this. So it was like the 20th of December, something like that. And I have not sold any big ticket items since then, so I feel like this will be relatively accurate, even though it's not including like the last half of December. If you're not familiar with the way that Poshmark works, they keep your money in escrow until the buyer receives the item and then essentially approves it as being as described. So right now, with all of the shipping delays, I have items that I shipped out at the beginning of December and they have still not made it to their buyers, and I still have not gotten paid for it. So right now I don't have the money or the item, so that's definitely a little bit of a downside to Poshmark. Usually it's not a big deal because everything is priority mail, but in this case it's definitely proving to be not awesome. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over the name of that, or like what I listed the item as, what the brand was, and how much it sold for, if I gave a shipping discount and how much it was, my cost of goods, and then my net profit after the cost of goods and fees have been taken out. So when I say my net, it's what's been deposited in my bank account after like cost of goods and everything. So the first piece was this really beautiful 1940s wool plaid dress. It was in surprisingly good condition for being wool. I did pick this up at the Goodwill outlet, but it had a broken zipper. So I had someone replace the zipper for me. I am actually pretty bad at putting zippers into like garments, so I need to improve on that, but I paid someone to do this for me. It sold for $80.88. I'm not sure if it was, I was probably part of a bundle to get that weird amount on Poshmark, but there was no shipping discount, and I paid around $1 for it from the Goodwill bins. And so after everything, I took home $63.70 on that piece. I was actually surprised that that didn't sell a little bit faster, as I had listed it last year and it didn't sell right away. Next up was a necklace. It was a seed bead like choker necklace, and if you watched my Etsy video, I also sold one of these on Etsy and they were both in my top sales. This one sold for $84. With a shipping discount of $2.12. I paid $2 for it at an estate sale, and my take home was $63.08, and that is just really good for a necklace. I'm pretty happy about that, especially something that I picked up on a whim just because I thought it was cool. Next up was the dress that is actually in the introduction, where I'm like shimmying around, and it's a red and white floral dress. It was by Lands. I purchased this on Etsy for $25 at the start of the pandemic, I was just kind of doing some like casual sourcing on Etsy, both to support Etsy sellers and just for fun. It's not that I really needed inventory, but I paid $25 for that. It sold for $85 on Poshmark, and there was no shipping discount. So after all was said and done with fees, it was $43 in my pocket to take home. So that is not bad. Lands is one of those brands where if you find a good piece from Lands, it is kind of like a definite pickup in my book. It has a following and people are looking for Lands dresses and they Google them, and so your stuff is going to pop up in searches, and so I definitely recommend it. I mean, I wouldn't pay like 25 is kind of like the cap of where I would go, possibly 30 if it was, you know, a really good one, but yeah, still worth it, I think. The next one kind of blew my mind. This was a retail arbitrage. ModCloth and Anna Sweet did a collaboration on ModCloth, and all the pieces were made with like silk and very high quality materials, and people really loved them, but the price tags were outrageous. Like, some of these dresses were like $400, $600. The tops were like over $300, and I mean, yes, the materials were like top notch and the construction was beautiful, but it was like, oh my gosh, people, they didn't have that kind of money. The people who shop on ModCloth, they don't always have that kind of money. So they ended up going into what ModCloth has occasionally done is a warehouse sale. So this went on sale for $15, and I think the original retail price was like, I don't know, it's like $300. I'll put it on the screen. Anyway, so I paid $15 for this. It sold for $90 on Poshmark. It was new with tags, and after all was said and done, I took home $57. I was so excited about that sale, you guys. It was a really good one. And I actually have another of these blouses in like a different size still sitting around. I bought them for myself, and I didn't know which size I would need, so I got it in 2 sizes, but then it turned out I didn't like it on me, so I sold both of them. Next up, I don't know where I bought this, but it was an authentic dirndl 2-piece set, so it had the top and it had the dirndl dress. It sold for $96.97. I did offer a shipping discount of $4.31. I'm going to assume it was part of a bundle, and then I offered free shipping on the bundle, because when that happens, ModCloth will divvy up the shipping discount based on the percentage of the sale and put that in your spreadsheet. So I don't know if that made sense to you, but anyway, there was a shipping discount. I paid $9 for it. Wherever I ended up buying it, I paid $9 for it. And my take home for that was $64.27. So I was very excited about that. I did Google this before I brought it home. I remember that not all dirndls are created equal, and I wanted to make sure it was like high quality German dirndl, and it seemed like it was, but I just wanted to check, and that was by Dirndl Trachtenhaus. Was the maker. So I looked those up, and they retailed for like $150-ish. So and the resale value was pretty good. So next up is another vintage piece. You can see a lot of vintage on here. Vintage can really bring a lot of money if you know what you're doing. So this was a 1940s Chinese brocade lounge jacket, and this would have originally had a pair of pajama pants with it, so it would have been like a lounge set. When I found it, I only found the jacket. It took me a really long time to list because I didn't exactly know what I was looking at the time that I picked it up. But then I went down the jolly rabbit hole of research and was able to date it and everything. It sold for $100, no shipping discount, and I paid $5 for it, but I do not remember where I got it. And so after all was said and done, my take home was $75 for that one. Or another vintage piece. This was a Japanese Haori short jacket. It was like it's a kimono. Haori are the shorter kimono. They're often worn in spring, or they're worn like over kimono to add a little bit of extra warmth, or they're worn to like spring festivals and stuff like that. This particular one I picked up in Japan the last time that I was there. There's a little shop that I go to where I go through what they have and, you know, pack my suitcase full before I come home. And so I paid about $20 for this one. Obviously there's like an exchange rate and it varies, but this one sold for $100, and it, after all was said and done, it put $60 into my bank account. The next one was a find that I managed to score at Salvation Army, and this was a Marquesa Notte pure silk black tiered dress. I always find my highest dollar like designer things in the black sections, because I feel like no one wants to go through a bunch of black dresses or black shirts. Like I've found Alexander McQueen, Burberry, and then this and some vintage designer stuff all in like the black, because I mean it's kind of boring to go through, but keep that in mind when you're shopping through. Don't skip the black section. This dress sold for $100, no shipping discount. I paid $8 for it, and so my total net was $72. So that was a really good sale. Next up was another piece that I purchased at Salvation Army. I miss this Salvation Army so much. It was my honey hole. I found so much good stuff there. They closed this year right after the pandemic, and it's just like really depressing to think about. I paid $6 for this dress, and it was an Anthropologie ombre tie-dye silk maxi dress. It was very beautiful. It was very hard for me to ID because it was an older one and it was only like a limited edition. It was just hard to ID. But I did eventually ID it, and it sold for $100. No shipping discount. Again, I paid $6 for it, and I made $74 on that one. And my highest grossing sale on Poshmark this year was $149, and it was a vintage 1950s military field jacket. I found this at the Goodwill bins. Sometimes when I find things that are vintage and they're menswear, I just feel like they look like something that free people would put out there. So this was one of those things. It was like a beat up utility jacket. You could see that it had seen war. It had a lot of character. I was able to date it. It did have, you know, a date inside. And even though I thought that it might appeal to like that sort of like trendy free people type of person, it was actually I think more of a collector who bought it from me, and they bought it for full asking price for $149. I paid around $3 for it from the Goodwill outlet, so my net after fees and all that stuff was $116.20. So I was very happy with that. I've definitely sold many things from the Goodwill outlet that to people just throw back because they look completely beat up and like garbage. Like sometimes I'm walking into Home Depot to, I don't know, buy paint or whatever the heck you do at Home Depot, and I'll just like see this guy walking by in they're just like super beat up Levi's, and they're all covered in paint and they've got like holes and wear in all the right places, and I'm like, that's like gold. This guy is just like wearing them to work, doing all the dirty work, beating them and breaking them in, and then how cool is that, you know, when somebody gets their hands on them in the aftermarket? Like, people just pass that stuff up because they think it's dirty or it's gross, but it really has so much character, and I love picking stuff like that up when I can find it. old painted in jeans, or just like this field jacket, or one time I found an LL Bean over jacket, like work coat, where the elbows had worn through and you could see the plaid lining through the elbows. It's just some really cool stuff. Sometimes you have to think outside of, you know, the normal, like, oh, this is pretty, this is a nice brand box, because it's not always the stuff that makes you the most money, you know. Like, I could pick up a Madewell sweater for $8, or I could pick this up for $3, and I think that this is cooler. So yeah, vintage. I love vintage. It tells a story, you know. So that is it for my top 10 Poshmark sales. While I don't necessarily think these are the type of thing where it's like, oh, go out and buy Everlane or keep your eye out for this, I think that these types of sales may really convince you to pick up things that are quality made but maybe aren't like branded in a traditional way. So yeah, just something to think about for the future. And I hope that this video was helpful for you. Let me know what your best Poshmark sale was of the year down below. I would love to hear it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!